Empathy. What's your understanding of empathy? Let me help you. Simply, it's the ability to recognize and share someone else's feelings. So coming here tonight, I truly want to offer you an enriched experience of life moving forward. If you allow me, this will strengthen every cornerstone of your existence, your family, your team, your community, and a quality of life for yourself. But in delivering this to you, I've been equally tested and delighted. Tested because how do I reach each of those cornerstones in just 15 minutes? But delighted because I know I can offer you an enriched experience of life moving forward. So, time for some honesty. Hands up here if, like me, you've ever been told you're just too emotional. Thank you. Hands up if you've never been told this. No judgment from me. Growing up, and still to this very day, my dear dad says to me, "You're just being too emotional, Daniela." And we all know when your family use your full name, they mean business. So let's buckle up and buckle in, because I feel that we're in for a ride together. So I get really excited about making families, teams, communities stronger. And I use empathy as my secret weapon to do just that. Or those emotions, as my dad would say. And you can too. But whoever we are, we all like a little bit of context and history, don't we? So, looking into the roots of the word empathy, it comes from the Latin, but hey, don't most words, meaning feeling in. But if we look deeper into the ancient Greek, it stems from the word empathia, which literally means passion. What's your passion? Have you ever thought about it? What does it mean for you to feel alive? After this, write that down. It is a great list. My deepest passion is developing people, making each of us feel more valued, stronger, more capable, more worth being here. Why is this my passion? Because it makes me feel fulfilled to bring value and strength to other people. So you may be sitting there thinking, oh, she's come here to talk about feelings and emotions. But I want to be really clear with you, feelings aren't weaknesses. They give our life meaning, passion, momentum, movement. So come on, let's put some motion into the emotion right now. Last summer, we saw the Black Lives Matter movement grow and ignite around the world. Communities who'd felt downtrodden, isolated, rejected, persecuted, came together to bring healing, freedom, and justice to Black people around the world. Conversely, you may have felt so in love with somebody that you've taken them to Paris or on a romantic weekend away because you want to celebrate your feelings of love and passion for that person. So emotion does give our life motion. So, are your seatbelts fastened? Tray tables up. Let's head on over to New Zealand and look at the current leader there, Jacinda Ardern, who I always want to call Moana. She's on an island, she's a pioneering leader, but maybe that's just me. Back in 2018, she said, "It takes courage and strength to be empathic." And I'm very proudly an empathic, compassionately driven politician. Ending many of her government's announcements with the message, "Be strong, be kind," She's led her country into moving with her through the Christchurch massacres and through COVID, understanding how she is asking her people to move with her and how they may feel about that. She has clearly used empathy in her leadership. So Gallup research cites that the 4 needs of followers are trust, stability, compassion, and hope. So for people to take an active step in following you, exuding these traits will create connection for those in your family, team, your romance, and your community. But let's look at some of the research into this. So Gallup asked more than 10 million people, that's a lot of people, the question, my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. The results were astonishing commercially. They found 3 things. 1, the people who agreed with this are more loyal. They're more likely to stay with the organization. 2, they're substantially more productive. And 3, they produce greater profitability for the organization. So, bringing light to the commercial benefits, who here has heard of Facebook? Who hasn't? It's huge. Mark Zuckerberg's created a great success globally. At Facebook, they have an empathy lab. Now, what this lab does is it enables the Facebook designers to experience for themselves how customers experience Facebook, even if those customers are visually impaired or hard of hearing. So at Facebook, they actively seek to understand their customers, even if they're visually impaired or hard of hearing. Does your company do that? So one thing that I always like to get to the bottom of with everybody that I work with, people and teams, is what does success look and feel like to you? Because it's right there that I can plug in, connect, and help them get to their success. One of the TED superstars, Brené Brown, says, empathy fuels connection. And I really like to connect. So bringing that to life for you, success feels like something very different to these 2 people who you may know. Donald Trump, success to him feels like it's almighty power, certainly in his presidency, almighty power. I invite you to step into his shoes, as uncomfortable as they may be, and feel how he may have felt trying his hand at global domination. Back in 2015, he famously said, "No one builds walls better than me." Where's the connection? And in the wake of the George Floyd movement, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. From the leader of a country. Mother Teresa, on the other hand, success to her feels like it was almighty service to the poor. Almighty service to the poor. Now I invite you to step into her shoes and feel how it was for her offering herself to improve the plight of the poor. She famously said, "Peace begins with a smile." I encourage you to write that down. Peace begins with a smile. So, are your tray tables still up? Your seatbelts still fastened? We're heading over to India, to the Punjab, to a teeny village in Batala. There lives a great woman called Vinda. And using empathy as her secret weapon, she's built a community of connection and kindness. Why? Because she wants no other human to feel the feelings of isolation, rejection, and betrayal that she suffered. Her husband left her for another woman when she was pregnant with their 2nd child. He moved away. Instead of turning her feelings of isolation, rejection, and betrayal into bitterness and anger. She moved her life that no other human felt that way. She opened her home to local orphans. When my friends and I arrived, her home was overcrowded and there was a waiting list to get in. We were there to help create a purpose-built home and school for her and the children. She's built a community of empathy and kindness, which my friends and I in the UK are part of. Empathy as a secret weapon. Another great inspiration and TED superstar is Simon Sinek. Now, he says empathy is the most important instrument in a leader's toolbox, a powerhouse in our artillery, if you will. And when used properly, empathy with boundaries is our secret weapon. Boundaries, by the way, are very simply, that's okay with me, that's not okay with me. So what happens when empathy is lacking or removed? Well, fundamentally, empathy is at the foundation of all the behaviour we consider good. It's at the bedrock of compassion, altruism, charity. Conversely, a lack of empathy is at the root of the most violent and destructive behaviour. In fact, everything we equivocate with evil. A lack of empathy with people makes war and crime possible. Allow me to take you on a journey through history. In 1939 and 1940, when the Nazis were invading Poland, Denmark, Belgium and France, to name a few of the countries that they defeated and occupied. For their blitzkrieg, which was a military tactic calculated to create psychological shock and resultant disorganisation in families, towns and communities through the employment of surprise, speed and superiority in armour and firepower. But behind this blitzkrieg tactic, there was a far more sinister tactic at play. The use of a drug called Pervitin. Now, what Pervitin was used for was keeping the Nazis awake for up to 3 days so that they could create relentless shock and destruction in families, towns, and communities. Our British press described the Germans as heavily drugged, fearless, and berserk. Along with invincibility, other attributes of this drug were reducing fear and diminishing empathy. This drug was the perfect weapon for turning Nazis into ultimate, yet unfeeling, killing machines. This drug meant that the Nazis could destroy, shock, and kill without feeling or understanding. Clearly, a lack of empathy leads to disconnection or ultimate destruction. You may have heard of abusers sexually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, who use little or no empathy for their crimes. Around the world, the major moral teaching of all world religion is treat other people how you would like to be treated yourself. In Judaism, that is expressed as that which is hateful to you, do not do unto your fellow. That is the whole Torah. In Hinduism, the concept of daya means to attempt to alleviate the suffering of all other humans. And in Christianity, love thy neighbour as thyself. But the science here is actually really interesting on how the biochemistry adapts within our bodies. When our brains move from a mindset of selfishness and stress to a mindset of care, empathy, and connection, you may have felt this. The heart rate decreases. Our vagal tone, which is the ability to relax and return after stressful events, is strengthened. And hormones essential for bonding and connecting, like oxytocin, are released. Have you ever had a super long hug? Ooh, after COVID, yes. And it's been wonderful. That is oxytocin being released through you right there. So in this mindset that is caring and empathic, we feel more deeply connected and optimistic personally. So, are your tray tables up, seatbelts still fastened? I know it is easy to think of empathy as something soft and fluffy. We're coming in for our descent. But let me tell you that you have biological roots of empathically motivated helping behaviour. Before I give you this example, can I get a show of hands? Who here likes chocolate? Oh, I love the stuff. I'm so glad you do. So research shows these biological roots of empathically motivated helping behaviour. So research shows that with rats, a rat will go and help another rat who is struggling or in a quandary. The studies even show that a rat will share their chocolate with another who is suffering. It takes an awful lot for me to want to share my chocolate, I'm going to be honest with you. So, we've seen that when you live your life from a place of empathy, you inherently build trust and followership. In addition to finding great success, like Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook or Mother Teresa, you'll build, grow, and create a culture, a community, and perhaps even a country of hope and optimism. Martin Luther King said many great things. One such as, I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. The great activist Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. To bring us into land, please build, grow, and create every cornerstone of your existence, your family, your team, your community, and a quality of life for yourself, using empathy as your secret weapon. Why? Because you will feel better. But crucially, my fuel for you is this. Build, grow, and create your character with empathy as your secret weapon. Why? Because you and people around you will feel that this life matters.